At 11:46. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday was a remarkable day. It was the first alert weather day. We gave you first alert leading up to it that we had the potential for downpours, and that is exactly what we got. And what you have behind me is a graphic that shows where the rain was heaviest. It's a radar estimated graphic, and there was very little Fredericksburg up to D.C. We had about 1/4 of an inch in these areas in blue, but there was these stripes, 2 of them, where the rain was really heavy, most notably from Buckingham County. If you're familiar with Route 60, it's Anderson Highway in Buckingham and Cumberland and Powhatan, then turns into Midlothian Turnpike as you head into Chesterfield in the city. But the average accumulation in those heavy areas was 3 to 4 inches of rain. There was some localized flooding. There was some hail, small hail as well. That rain was still very heavy into New Kent and Charles City, but got weaker as it went east. But the average accumulation on the south side of the city in northern Chesterfield County was 3 to 4 inches. At the airport on the east end of Henrico County, they recorded 2.78 inches of rain yesterday. That was a remarkable rain amount because in the recorded history of May 16th, started back in the 1870s when we started getting these modern records, there has not been a May 16th that has received more rain than we got yesterday out of the airport. Now that brings the May rain total to 3.3 inches. Basically, almost all of the rain we've had in the month out of the airport happened yesterday. There are spots, though, that did not get a soaking rain up north of town and some areas south, and they'd like to get some because it actually has been relatively dry. And for those of us who got that rain yesterday, that should last a while. All right, 10